What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another really exciting AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So what we're going to be covering in this update is the possibility that AMC is gearing up for another explosive move to the upside. We have seen a lot of market volatility over the last couple of weeks due to a couple of really big issues. We've seen Evergrande, we've seen government shutdown fears, and the last thing that we were really waiting for was this debt ceiling situation. Now, it looks like this situation is really starting to get resolved, which is kind of why we are seeing this run up in AMC, and we can see this reflected in the broad market as well. So the market is taking some of this news today very positively, but we're going to have to see what we have going forward. In addition, we have some all-time high short interest data on Ortex. Next week is going to be the monthly options expiration date for October, which also leads the way for a potential gamma squeeze if we can see enough open interest populate on that option chain. We have the Q3 13F starting to come out, so we can kind of gauge what the institutions have done over the last couple of months. And we are going to be taking a look at exactly what was said about this debt ceiling situation, how this could boost our markets to the upside and really benefit us as AMC shareholders in the short term. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. I don't know if you guys have heard, over the past couple of weeks, YouTube has kind of been showing a lot of the AMC creators videos from months ago and not the new ones. We've seen those CNBC FUD videos start to pop up again at the top of search results. So if you guys want to get the AMC creators that you like, it doesn't have to be me, up to the top, make sure you guys drop a like or any type of engagement on these videos. So AMC at the current time that I'm recording is at $36.90. We saw it drop pretty significantly into this $35 range today, but with all of the good market news coming out, we are seeing it start to push back to the upside. Now, when we come over to Ortex right here, this is where it starts to get very interesting. So utilization still low at 85.71%, but the current estimates for short interest is at an all-time high, with the current estimated amount of shares sold short 107.74 million. Now, again, this is just the baseline estimates with 85% of the total market data that Ortex is giving us these estimates based off of. But when we think about what happened back in the end of May and June, we can see the short interest leading up to that major June run-up was only 16.59%. And when we saw that run-up, the estimated short interest dropped into this 11 to 12% range. Right now, we are trading at much higher prices with even higher amounts of short interest, meaning that the next move to the upside, obviously, we would see some smaller to medium-sized shorts covering their positions, but they're going to have to cover more shares this time because it is going to put a lot more pressure on not only these institutions that have taken out these loans in terms of the shares, but also the lending institutions that could make this next run-up that we see the final run-up. Now, I have talked about this in a couple of my previous videos and live streams that I really think that we are one or two January or June-like events away from really seeing this whole MOAS short squeeze situation really kick off. So we're going to have to see what really comes out from this, but I do think that with the overall market conditions, which we're going to go over a little bit later in this video, are really setting up for something good. Now, when we come over to Stonko Tracker, this week, only 8,000 contracts are in the money. We've seen a decently volatile week, but when we come down here, already going into next week, we have 13,885 contracts in the money, not enough to cause any type of gamma squeeze, but we have 174,174 contracts out of the money. Now, with all of the things happening with the market right now, a lot of people are going to start gambling on these next weekly options. Everybody has kind of given the warning about this, but people are going to do it anyway. But if we see the stock start to move to the upside and send even more of these contracts in the money, that is going to provide a lot more buying volume, which will push the stock up even higher. Now, when we come over to Fintel right here, we are starting to see these institutions report some of their Q3 13F. So October 5th right here, these two different institutions, they own a very, very, very small amount of shares, but we're going to see more and more institutions start to report over the next couple of weeks and honestly over the next month and a half, and we're really going to get a better understanding of what the institutions have done with their AMC investment. Remember, in Q2, we saw more inflows from institutions than outflows in a pretty substantial way, and during that time period, we saw the stock go from $10 a share all the way up to $77 and then back down into the $50 range. Right now, it does not make a whole lot of sense for these institutions to be selling off their positions. If they were to operate just based off of the way that a lot of these investors, these large institutional investors do, if they saw a stock run to 77, come back down into the $50 range, and they were still buying more, obviously they think it could go a lot higher than that $77 mark. Now, when we move on to this really big situation that's been affecting our markets in total over the last 2 or 3 weeks, when we come over here, we can see that McConnell offers Democrats a deal to solve the debt impasse. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is offering Democrats a deal that could end the standoff over raising the nation's debt ceiling just weeks before the possible default. The GOP leader issued a statement shortly after a Senate Republican caucus lunch announcing that he will allow Democrats to increase the nation's borrowing authority for 2 months without having to use the cumbersome and time-consuming budget reconciliation process to avoid a filibuster. Now, I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on increasing the debt ceiling or letting the situation play out without intervention, but in the short term, being able to kick this can down the road is going to be bullish for our markets. Now, what you also have to think about is even if they kick the can down the road with this debt ceiling situation till November, December, the situation is going to come back and the downgrade risk is not really going to go away. The United States could lose its AAA rating in terms of its credit rating, which would also send the markets going to the downside. So we're not necessarily out of the woods yet. And in addition to this, when we come over here, we need to talk about this potential real estate crisis that is developing over in China. So everybody knows what's been going on with Evergrande. Another Chinese property developer is in crisis. So another Chinese property developer, fell into crisis on Monday after failing to repay a maturing bond, adding to the strain of the nation's heavily leveraged property firms amid industry giant China Evergrande Group's debt woes. Fantasia Holdings Group didn't repay a $205.7 million bond that was due Monday, according to a company statement. Separately, a property management company, Country Garden Services Holding, said that a unit of Fantasia didn't repay a $108 million loan that also came due on Monday and said that a default was probable. So we've been over this situation that's been going on in China in the past, and it's really a symptom of a larger problem that has been going on since 2008. With the policy and incentives put in place in the Chinese economy right now, they incentivized essentially the overbuilding of a lot of these structures. Now, real estate would also fall under this, but so does infrastructure. So there's a lot of different things playing into all of this situation going on in China right now. And we do know that there is that grace period with the Evergrande payment. And we also know that China is essentially going to step in, break apart the Evergrande company into 3 separate entities, and basically handle all of that debt, trying to contain this situation. But as we're seeing, Fantasia is popping up, and it would not surprise me if more companies were unable to repay this unbelievable amount of debt that they have been taking. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you guys enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.